before I got involved and totally changed the election.
I got red painted toenails.
President Trump wants to break us.
The president says that I am not MAGA.
Oh boy, well. Attack our country when they attack our people.
Yes or no question, Mr. Chair.
America's northern neighbour goes into snap elections on April 28, 6 months ahead of schedule. And just like the date, even the face and politics of Canada went for a complete overturn in the few months running to Trump's second presidency. Canada operates as a parliamentary democracy and a constitutional monarchy, a structure inherited from the British. King Charles III of the British royal family is the ceremonial head of state, represented by the Governor-General Mary Simon since 2021. The Constitution Act of 1867, originally known as the British North American Act, divides Canada into a federation and provinces, where premiers function as independent prime ministers. The federal government governs defense, foreign policy, criminal law, currency and banking and trade between provinces, as well as across the border. Provinces are responsible for education, healthcare, property and civil rights, local government and natural resources. Environmental protection, infrastructure development and social programs are governed by both federal and provincial governments. Among Canada's 13 provinces, Quebec and now Alberta are in focus for a referendum call, the latter triggered by Trump tariffs. The Liberal Party of Canada has enjoyed long periods in power under Sir Wilfrid Laurier, Louis Saint Laurent, Lester B. Pearson, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Jean Chrétien and Justin Trudeau. In contrast, Conservative or centre-right leaders have been in power thrice under John Defebanker, Progressive Conservative Joe Clark and more recently Stephen Harper. The current contenders for the Prime Minister's race, Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney, have been former aides of Harper and Trudeau respectively. Poilievre held several roles in Harper's nearly 10 years of tenure, from Parliamentary Secretary to later Minister of State for Democratic Reform. Carney was Trudeau's economic advisor from 2020. During the 9 years of Justin Trudeau's government, Poilievre could harness widespread anxiety and anger over soaring housing and grocery costs.
Bread's up 15%, and the butter on the bread, that's up 17%.
As helm of the Tories since 2022, he cornered Deputy PM Chrystia Freeland and then advisor Mark Carney for their handling of Canada's economic situation. Poilievre used populist terms to target his opponents, basing his entire argument on Canada being broken under Trudeau-led Liberals.
To this wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister.
Poilievre's current argument is that carbon tax Carney is just like Justin.
We're getting government back in the business of building affordable homes.
Back into the business of housing in this country.
Is it liberal? Maybe, but you know, a conservative until I got involved, because I don't care who wins up there. And frankly, probably would do better with the liberal than the conservative, if you want to know the truth. But just a little while ago, before I got involved and totally changed the election, which I don't care about, probably it's to our advantage actually, but the conservative was leading against, I call him Governor Trudeau, the conservative was leading by 35 points.
Trump's tariff threats have triggered a wave of nationalism in Canada, with premiers and now federal leaders touting a Team Canada approach. Poilievre, who was focused on cornering Liberals over Canada's internal economic crises, turned to bash Trump and link Carney to American interests. This led to Trump calling Poilievre stupid and saying he would prefer a Liberal Prime Minister over a Conservative.
The first thing that President Trump should do when he gets into the Oval Office is to send a big bouquet of flowers to the Liberal government in Ottawa. By blocking pipelines and LNG plants in Canada, the Liberals have forced Canadians to sell almost all of our energy to the United States, giving President Trump massive leverage in making these tariff threats.
As Conservatives, Poilievre and Trump's style of appealing to voters and approach noticeably aligns.
It is not for President Trump or any other foreign leader that I want to stop fentanyl in my country. It's so that not one more mother has to bury her face in her hands in the terrible agony of learning her son died in a back alley somewhere from this poison.
Pierre Poilievre is a career politician with 2 decades of experience, having won the first election at the age of 25. Poilievre was born to a teenage mother and was later adopted and raised by 2 school teachers. At 25, he won his first federal race in 2004 in an electoral district known in Canada as a riding in the capital, Ottawa. He has represented the area ever since, through the decade-long tenure of Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Poilievre rose to lead the Conservative Party in 2022, sharpening his attacks on Trudeau and preempting Carney's rise, targeting him before he was elected Liberal leader and Prime Minister in February this year. In contrast to partisan Poilievre, Mark Carney has a rich corporate lineage of working for Goldman Sachs since 1988 for 15 years, moving on to serve as Deputy Governor at the Bank of Canada in 2003. Carney happens to be the only individual to head 2 central banks, Bank of Canada for 6 years till 2013 and Bank of England for 7 years till 2020. This was when he joined Justin Trudeau's government as his economic advisor, getting a nickname from Poilievre, Carbon Tax Carney. But these aren't the only 2 faces for the Prime Minister in Canadian elections. Jagmeet Singh, leader of the National Democratic Party and a former Trudeau ally, has entered the ring and is leading at a distant third at 8.1%, with NDP predicted to win anywhere between 3 to 5 seats in the federal elections. Singh was born to Indian immigrants in Toronto, with his parents belonging to the Malwa region in India's Punjab. Singh is known for his vocal support of the Khalistan movement.
Indian government, the allegations are not just killed Sardar Jagmeet Singh Saab, but also engaged in a campaign of violence in communities across the country. And that threatens Canadians. It's an attack against Canadians. And the RCMP's information we take very seriously. Extortion, allegations, threats of violence, gun violence, all linked to the Indian government. That's the information that came forward. So we've taken a very strong position, obviously, against that.
Yes, Francois Blanchet is leading the Bloc Quebecois into a federal election for the 3rd time. The Quebec Souverainist Party only runs candidates in the French-speaking province and has in the past formed official opposition in the House of Commons.
Screens for Brookfield and a company called Stripe that I used to be on the board of. I've set those screens up already, well in advance. They'll be administered by the clerk of the Privy Council and the Chief of Staff. And as well, I have already filed months and months and months and months in advance with the Ethics Commissioner all the detail of when the divestitures happen, all the details of those assets. So.
Opponents are cornering Carney over his ties to the US and divested investments in China and other tax havens like Bermuda. But this does not seem to impact pre-poll numbers, as Carney is predicted to amass over 44% of the votes for the Liberals as per CBC's poll tracker. What helped Carney was a change of face for the Liberals, his credentials in economic roles as Governor of Bank of England and Bank of Canada, and cashing on the wave of nationalism by strategically calling for a snap election in April itself, way ahead of the October 2025 date.
You didn't say no. You didn't complain that you didn't have the resources to help. You showed friendship to people who were fearful. And in crisis, you showed character. When people needed help, you gave it, no questions asked, no expectations attached. It was the right thing to do, the Canadian thing to do, and you did it, and you made us proud.
Poilievre, on the other hand, saw the election slip away from his hands after Trudeau stepped down and Carney took over. Carney then deferred the carbon tax, which was a prime poll issue for Poilievre. He tried branding Chrystia Freeland and Carney as just like Justin, but in the face of a market slump and looming global recession, rhyming rhetoric and name-calling opponents isn't working. Alberta Premier Daniel Smith's linking his approach to Trump also played havoc on voters. Poilievre has, since then, tried to distance himself from such rhetoric and lay out a nuanced approach, playing on his credentials as a strategist in the Harper government.
I am the only person who can say that both of the men running to be Prime Minister once worked for me. And in that regard, my choice, without hesitation, without equivocation, without a shadow of a doubt, is Pierre Poilievre.
Jagmeet Singh and Blanchet are trailing in single digits and can ally with either the Liberals or Conservatives in case of a majority falling short. Who do you think is a fit leader to run Canada against 4 years of Trump? Comment and let us know below. That's all from now from the Economic Times. This is Gauri Joshi signing off, but stay tuned with us to be updated on what's happening around the world.